Hi, Dave Armstrong with Monument Wealth Management. I know it's been a while since I cut a video, but I was thinking the other day, was watching a movie and it said, true story based on true events or something like that, which is sort of code for never let the truth get in the way of a good story. And in that context, I have a little story I want to tell you that's based on true events. But first, I want to put it into the context of a bear market, right? So, look, I get it. A bear market is looming. We're going to have one. The problem is that we just don't know when. Here's some statistics on a bear market, right? Since 1929, we've had we've had 25 bear markets, right? And on average, that's one every 3.4 years. Okay. Now, we've gone a decade without a bear market, but, that's usually how long they last. That's usually how long it is, between every single one. They usually last about 10 months and they usually go down about 35%. So the markets go down about 35%. So, 25 bear markets we've had makes it one every 3.4 years. They usually last 10 months, usually goes down about 35%. Okay. And the last bear market we had was in March of 2009. So it's been over a decade since we had one, which makes those statistics kind of hard to believe. The problem with the bear market is you don't usually recognize them until they're over or they're so deep and obvious that it's just completely undeniable. Of course, the media is going to act like, they're the smartest people in the world and jam this in your face because they know that bad news sells and they're going to be screaming in your face all day long. So take that with a grain of salt. But it brings me to thinking about how I spent a day recently. And I want to put this into the context of a bear market. Specifically, what would change about my day if I was in a bear market? So, okay, here's a rough how I spend my day. I woke up to my alarm on my Apple Watch that I bought in a Verizon store. I had a workout, so I threw on my Nike shoes. When I was done, I took a shower, some Ivory soap, a little Aussie shampoo, brushed my teeth with some Crest. All those are products that are made by Procter and Gamble. Jump in the car. I'm on my way to work. The line at the Chevron station was a little too long, so I hopped across the street over to Exxon Mobil instead. And while I'm sitting there, I'm listening to the CNBC on my Sirius satellite, and there's a comment on there by Goldman Sachs. You've heard it before. They take credit for having coined it, which is be long-term greedy. And then kept coming to work. A little bit of construction was going on. They were digging up some asphalt. This big yellow Caterpillar backhoe thing was tearing up the street. So I had to wait there. But anyway, I finally get to work. And on my way, here's another thing too. On my way, I was watching this new house being built, and it's got the Tyvek all around it. You've probably seen it, that white stuff. That's made by DuPont. Pull into the parking garage, get the dogs out of the car. Well, they're not back there right now, but they're here today. Jumped on the Otis elevator, which is made by United Technology. Come up to the office. I had to deal with some insurance companies, so I was on the phone with USA. I was on the phone with Travelers. And I had to deal with a bill from my most recent knee surgery with United Healthcare. So when the time I was done with those phone calls, I fired up my old IBM computer that has the Intel chip in it, running Microsoft Office 10, jump onto the cloud, the internet, through all the gear that's made by Cisco, and get to work on my day. Lunch rolls around. I grab Dean. We head over to McDonald's. All right, whatever, but we did. Got a quarter pounder, tried to offset the quarter pounder with a little Diet Coke. So we had lunch anyway. And during that time, I actually pulled my phone out, paid off my Chase credit card. And then on the way back, I had to stop by Walgreens and I had to pick up some office supply stuff. So I picked up some Post-it notes, some Scotch tape, 3M stuff. Bought some Johnson & Johnson baby powder and some Band-Aids. And I got some Advil, which is made by Pfizer. I filled my prescription for Clarinex, which is a decongestant medicine. That's made by Merck. So because I had some business expenses and some personal expenses, I put my personal expenses on my Visa card. I put the business expenses on my American Express. Okay. So anyway, after work, I decided to run by Home Depot to get some stuff for the house. And because I have a project at the house I need to get done before I leave for a trip to St. Louis. Also on the way home, I stopped by Walmart to grab something real quick. By the way, Walmart's a store that's visited by 100 million Americans, a week. But for the St. Louis trip, I'm going to fly Delta. So I'm betting that I'm going to be flying on a plane made by Boeing. Okay. So, and since I'm flying, I had to remind myself to go download that movie, Avengers Endgame. I'd never seen it before. It's one of the top grossing movies made by Disney. It did like $2.8 billion, that Disney movie. So, anyway, here's my point with that whole story, with all the stuff that I did. there's 330 million people in America, and a lot of them interact with the 30 stocks of the Dow Jones, which in my story based on, story sort of based on true events, um, there's a lot, there's the 30 companies in the Dow, right? Which, by the way, if you're keeping track and counting up all those companies, Dow was the final one that I didn't mention in my little story, is the 30th of all those stocks. Anyway, it got me wondering, like, how much would my day really change if we were in the middle of a bear market? So the interesting part about that also is that 80% of the world's purchasing power rests outside the United States, and 95% of so do 95% of the world's consumers, and they all have this huge desire to buy American products. So I get it. During a bear market, people are going to cut back on discretionary items. They're going to buy, they're going to go to the movies a lot less than they buy toilet paper. I get it. But, it goes beyond the Dow Jones Industrial Average. I didn't want to do a video on the 500 stocks of the S&P 500. This would be a feature-length movie. But, like, think about, like, Facebook, Google, Amazon, Berkshire. They're not going anywhere during a down market. Nobody's shutting down their Instagram site or, just because there's a bear market. But my point is this. Look, every single time in history that there's been a bear market, the market's gone down. It's not only come back, it's gone on to reach new highs, right? So the 25 times, every 3.4 years, the market goes down 35%, 35%. It's usually back even, it lasts for, 10 months. It's gone on to set a new high. So this is why it's important for investors to have a cash portfolio and a management plan in addition to a great portfolio of stocks and bonds. Okay. And the best part about cash is it is the cheapest hedge you can have on a portfolio. And if for some reason you have a big cash position and you don't need that cash during a bear market, well, guess what you can do? You can go in and buy those stocks low and sell them high, which is a whole different investment strategy. It's very, very complicated, and may have to say that for another video. But anyway, there's my quick story for the day. If you haven't done already, you can subscribe to our social media channels down here. Hit me up with any questions that you have, like, share. I really like it when people interact with the videos on LinkedIn and stuff like that. So thanks a lot for everybody who shares them or likes them or comments on them. So my preference would be comment, share, like, in that order. Or all three, but that's the order, right? Okay, so have a great day. Reach out to me if you have any questions.